Everything is Nintendo's fault. Every price increase, every unfortunate choice, every time something that we don't like as consumers, it's Nintendo's fault. They're the proprietors of every bad choice in the gaming industry. I mean, that sounds right? That's what I'm not the only one seeing that be a thing somehow, especially for like bigger commentating channels and all of that. It seems like that's the thing. That's the easy thing to run to. It's the easy thing to say. It's the easy thing to draw clicks. So I'm flipping that idea on its head. I'll take the things that they say. I'll title a video like they have done, and I'll inject some common sense, some logic, some reasoning. You know, something beyond the scope of emotionally reacting in the immediate and not thinking through what I'm saying, just saying it off the top of my head. I mean, if that makes me sound like I'm a shill because I take time to think, it sounds like a problem for the majority, or in this case, the loud minority that has majorly taken over social media. Not an issue for me. I hate to say it like this, but it's times like this that make me feel like I'm too smart when it comes to the people that I would otherwise potentially be able to engage with. It's like there are explanations outside of the things that you drew connections to. If you have only taken a moment to even think about the issues or think about what you're saying, if you'd only taken a bit of time to even do a little bit of research, you would see that, hey, maybe what you're saying isn't true. Or at the very least, the assumption that you're making is very far off from the truth. Because there are other explanations that make more sense. There are other explanations that could, potentially show you why you're looking at the wrong things. So yeah, everything's Nintendo's fault. It wouldn't be that the cost of development have been skyrocketing since 7th generation when Microsoft and Sony forced going into HD. They didn't have to do that. They forced going into HD. The thing that Nintendo got chaff for is one of the reasons that they're so successful now, because they decided to do something a little bit different. They didn't rush into that form of development. Now, it meant a little bit of a struggle going into the Wii U as they had to get acclimated to it. But after they got acclimated to it, they've been doing good as far as development. Nintendo Switch gets chaff for being quote unquote behind the times. And Nintendo's at fault for games not performing well on their platform. Stuff that we've seen floated about constantly on social media. First, you hear, well, this game can't work. Then said game pops up on the platform. Oh, well, it runs like garbage. Well, then didn't you just lose the point of what you said? You conceded then, right? You don't want to say you conceded because that actively makes you look weak. But people forget that there is strength in accepting defeat, because if you accept defeat, then you can learn from the defeat. And if you can learn from the defeat, you actually come out on the other end stronger and better than you were. But we can't say that, right? We can't say that. We can't say we lost a point. We can't say we were wrong on something. We can't correct ourselves. Man, everybody's really making me look like I am super intelligent. At least among the loud group. You guys are making me look like I am, I guess in technical terms, as far as IQ would be concerned, you're making me look very superior. That's not how I view myself, but that's how your attitudes and your ways of thinking make things look. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I feel like I'm smarter than everyone. I don't like feeling like that, especially in a hobby that requires a decent level of intelligence and to be able to really engage with it. Yeah, I know that makes me sound super conceited. Even in a little bit of what it makes me almost sound narcissistic. Again, I don't like feeling like this. But if I can sit down and think about why things are the way they are, I can draw parallels and conclusions from things because of one, history, and two, the way technology grows and moves forward. I'm sitting here like the answers are right in front of you. Everything is right in front of you. It's laid out, plain black and white. Now, yes, I do know that some things, wording can be horrible, as, again, I was recently wrong about something. I had to admit to that. Because wording on a thing was horribly stated. But barring stuff like that, if you're just paying attention to history, pay attention to history. Again, pay attention to history. We learn from our history. You don't learn by what you think is going to happen in the future. Those are ideas, those are thoughts, those are things that have yet to come to fruition. You look at what's already happened and you decipher from there. But maybe people just don't know how to decipher. Maybe they don't know how to take information and build upon different connections with said information. Maybe they don't know how to do that. Maybe that is the case. People begged for better hardware from Nintendo. Loud, boisterously begged for better hardware from Nintendo. They put out better hardware. It cost too much. Drop the price. Well, technically, not everybody was mad about the price of the console. People think $450 is a fair price for the console, based upon what they've seen that the console itself is capable of doing. No, the issue came down to the fact that Mario Kart World is $80 in the US. Prices vary depending on your local area and your denomination of currency. So I'm going strictly based off of US prices because that is the region I am in. So Mario Kart World is $80. Oh, everybody's going to start doing this now. If y'all didn't think that that was coming up already, I have no idea what to tell you. Prices of games were already going to go up. Again, I've stated multiple times, I hate that it is. I dislike that it is. But I understand based upon what is going on, the technology in the machines. I understand it. I don't like it, but I understand it. The cost of development is going up. And when you want to use newer, better hardware to develop games for, or as the vocal minority, you say that's what you want companies to do, that's going to come with increased prices. Tariffs hitting countries from the US that are essentially high-level import taxes. It's not exactly that, but it's close enough. They're high-level import taxes. Which means that the cost of putting their machines together is going to go up, which means that the cost is going to be offset going to the customer. Microsoft increased all of the prices of their stuff. Games are going to go up to $80 for them brand new very soon. But that was Nintendo's fault. It wasn't all of the extenuating circumstances around that. It was just that Nintendo decided Mario Kart World was worth $80. Which, even if you think about it, Mario Kart 8 on 2 separate platforms has a high attachment rate for those platforms. For the Wii U, it was over 50%. And I think for the Switch, it was very close to 50%, if not over it. So that would speak volumes to Nintendo that, hey, this franchise is very valuable to people. We can sell it at a higher price because there is more demand for it. That's why Donkey Kong Bonanza isn't $80, it's $70. It's not as big of an IP. There isn't as much demand for it. You don't have to like it to understand it. You really, truly do not have to like it to understand it. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom both get a $10 upgrade for Nintendo Switch 2. Adds in features that you can use for the Nintendo Switch app that help make it easier for you to complete the game, as well as find things that you otherwise would have a harder time finding. Again, I understand that comes at a cost. You don't have to like it, but you can understand it. It's not hard to sit down and think about why certain things are the way they are. People get mad about Nintendo saying, hey, you can't use your old SDXC cards for the Nintendo Switch 2. We cut off that option. I get why you're mad, but I also understand why they chose not to do that. If everything in this console is using technology that runs at higher read speeds, comparable to SSDs like people said they wanted, which the new standard that they are using, their new standard, USF, is in that range, which would mean that if you wanted to expand the memory, you would need something in a very similar range, which is why micro SD Express is the format they went with. Still familiar, it costs a bit more, but it falls in line with what they needed. People are mad that they decided to go with that, even though micro SD Express cards are selling out because of Nintendo Switch 2. The people are mad they can't bring over their old SSDs, completely forgetting that some of them max speed is 200 megabytes per second read and write speeds. You need something much faster than that for what everyone claimed that they wanted. So, if you need something much faster to adhere to what everyone says they wanted, that's going to cost more money. Right? It's going to cost more money. You don't have to like that it costs more money. It's just that it will. Simple as that. You don't have to like it, but it will cost more money. And the weird thing is, I shouldn't have to explain this to people who are supposedly technology enthusiasts. This is something that all of you who claim to be technologically inclined should understand. You shouldn't need me to explain it. I should be the guy just talking on the internet, throwing out the weird, chaotic ideas and having fun with that. No, because everybody's so sourpuss and so angry and so upset all the time, I'm sitting here explaining the simplest concepts of technology. Not something I wanted to have to do, but something I feel I need to do, because there has to be a voice of reason. There has to be someone who looks at the information and says, oh, okay, so this works for this. This does that. Okay, I get it. I understand. Someone who can speak for the layman in general. I shouldn't be the guy doing that. My moniker is the game idea guy, not the game explain idea guy. Ugh, that would be a weird thing to fall into, knowing that Game Explain has Andre Seegers, and then there would be two Andres under a Game Explain. Yeah, that would be so convoluted, and it potentially would benefit me, but at the same time I wouldn't want to accidentally be associated with them like that. Side tangent aside, redundant statements. Look, I don't like coming off like I am in a position of better understanding than people, because I am generally still learning about a lot of things myself. But again, these are simple concepts. It shouldn't be hard to get it. It shouldn't be hard to understand it. These are things that, hey, we wanted all of these different things to be utilized. We wanted this technology used for higher speeds. We wanted this technology used so that there would be parity for games. We wanted this technology to be used. And we wanted this to be in a handheld format. We wanted this to be done. We wanted that to be done. All of these things that people wanted. All of these things that people asked for. All of these things that people loudly begged for. All of these times that people said Nintendo was behind the times. Nintendo was behind everybody. Now we're sad that they're competitively priced against everyone else. We're mad, faux mad, that the cost of the console has gone up, and there may be some kids who can't purchase them. Kids don't purchase game consoles anyway, but we're agitated that some kids can't purchase them. They won't have the money to. I mean, that's why they have parents. That's why they have families. That's why you save up money. Not that the average demographic for Nintendo fans anyway has been somewhere between the mid-20s to mid-40s. I mean, but we're going to be mad that consoles cost more money. Games cost more money. After we ask for all of this stuff. And then there are imposed tariffs that make it cost more to import things. We're so mad about that. But we're not blaming the actual culprits for half of the things that are going on. Like, look, you want to blame Nintendo for Mario Kart being $80? Cool, understood. I don't get blaming Nintendo for why Rockstar delayed Grand Theft Auto 6, or blaming Nintendo for why Rockstar potentially might make Grand Theft Auto 6 over $100. Here's a hint though. Grand Theft Auto 5, technically, to be able to get the full experience of the game, is still over $100. So just wrap your head around that. Just wrap your head around that. To really get the full experience of the game and not get ragdolled and run over in GTA Online almost immediately, it's over $100. Go do the math. So, if there's any reason that Rockstar would price the game at that high of a price, it's probably because people bought it at that high of a price. But it benefits us. Okay, well, it benefited you into higher cost. You ain't gotta like it, but that's the situation. Blame Nintendo for the stuff they did. Now, like changing the way game sharing works. Like where you could before do the primary and secondary console thing and be able to share games back and forth. They changed it. Blame them for that. That's something that they said wouldn't change, but they changed it. Now, I kind of question why they had to change it, because obviously I think it's something that they had to do when they decided they were going to implement virtual game cards, as well as game share from the Nintendo Switch 2, and they all kind of run off of the same, OS format. So I think it would have something to do with that. I just don't know what the particulars are of that. But that would be my best guess, is that virtual game cards and being able to share those virtual game cards works somewhat against that. Again, I don't know for certain. I can't promise that I could figure it out either, because I'm not the one working on the code. I'm not the one working within their OS to figure out how and why this is a problem. I'm not the one doing it, but there's also been people that have hinted at there's like in the settings. I haven't checked for the update of the Nintendo Switch yet. I haven't done that, but there's apparently a setting online, a setting in your console that allows for an online license that might have something to do with it. Again, I don't know all of these things, but if anything to me would say, okay, well then virtual game cards might be causing an issue with this particular thing, which is why they don't endorse it anymore, because these things may clash. Again, I don't know, and I can't say I do. I don't know what's causing that particular problem. And without being able to sit down and study the code, which would take me forever, but without being able to sit down and study the code, I can't tell you what caused that issue. I can only say, hey, this might be the reason. This particular thing might be the reason because it does something similar, and they may interact with each other in ways that cause issues with stability. I don't know that, but I could glean that just by inferring based upon the information that we have. Again, I'd have to be behind the scenes at Nintendo to absolutely know that was the case, but I'm not. But yeah, everything's Nintendo's fault, without understanding that other things were going to happen anyway. Sony, throughout this generation, throughout 9th generation, has increased their prices on things several times over. In other countries, they have drastically increased the price of their consoles. Over here in the US, the cost of their accessories already went up. But that's Nintendo's fault, right? It's not Sony's fault, it's Nintendo's fault. That's wholeheartedly Nintendo's fault. That's really and truly Nintendo's fault, right? That sounds illogical to me. Like, I'm not going to blame a person walking down the street if I drop a sandwich on the ground just because they walked past me. Person didn't even touch me, didn't bump me, didn't interact with me, but I'm going to blame them for my sandwich hitting the ground? This this logic. We're not connected to each other, but for some reason, them just walking by, doing their thing, I just lose my grip on my sandwich and it hits the ground. I'm gonna, you did this. You made me drop my food. Like, how illogical does that sound? How illogical does that sound? And then to be the person on the receiving end of that blame, you'd be looking at like, what did I do? Like, I'm minding my own business. What does you dropping your sandwich have to do with me? But somehow, some way, we have people running with this weird misinformation. Not even the stuff that makes logical sense. Mario Kart World's $80, so GTA is about to be $100. Not that you have had a history of spending over $100 on Grand Theft Auto 5. GTA Online is still Grand Theft Auto 5. Somebody has to look up what the average expenditure is into GTA 5. Somebody has to look at it. I can't right this second. I might, if somebody reminds me, I might look at it and see what it cost the average player, what their average spending is into the game. Because that's the behavior that would mark why the GTA 6 would be over $100. Not because Mario Kart World came out at 80. Gosh. That was so off. That's like saying, oh, well, Mario is jumping on animals, so we have Pokemon. What? Like, those are two separate things. They're not related to each other like that. Oh, man. Oh, gosh. I have to inject humor because otherwise it's driving me nuts. And I feel like I'm constantly on this soapbox, and I'm not trying to be. Gosh, I want to be thinking of the fun, interesting, weird ideas I can put out there that sometimes potentially happen. But now I'm sitting here trying to explain simplified concepts. Not stuff that requires a whole lot of lateral thinking, just something that requires you to look at a straightforward line. You're just looking at a straightforward line. It's just following the flow of things. Oh, man. And for somebody, this sounds like utter nonsense. All of this sounds like nonsense. And you're right. This is nonsense. I shouldn't even be making this discussion. I shouldn't feel like I have to. But there's a desperate need for me to try to get people to understand things. And that's a character flaw on my part. All in all, everything is not Nintendo's fault. Things are happening in the game industry that were going to happen whether or not they are in it. You either have to not accept it and move on to do something else, or you have to accept it and bite the bullet. Those are the best options for you. You either accept it, bite the bullet, and deal with things as they come along, or you don't accept it and you move yourself along to something else. Very simple, very easy to understand. And that is what would be best if you really want to mark change in the game industry. But I have a separate video for that I need to work on. So I'm just going to go ahead and end this here because I have been talking for about half an hour. So if you've made it this far, please like, comment, share, whatever, get this out to more people if possible. And thank you very much for listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, please enjoy your games and peace out, everybody. Because it's Nintendo's fault.